Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about gender, as you could probably already tell. This is not to be confused with biological sex, but because there is a lot of confusion and misconceptions to do with that, I thought I'd start with defining that. So there are 3 biological sexes: male, female, and intersex. These are not as rigid and easily defined as a lot of people make out, but they are the 3 basic biological sexes. Intersex people do exist, and intersex is not a gender or a sexual orientation or a sexual identity. Intersex is an actual physical biological sex which can be characterized as people with different chromosomes or people with ambiguous genitalia, and there are lots of different ways that somebody can be intersex, which I'm not going to go into right now, but it is a physical biological sex rather than a gender or sexual orientation. It's not a genetic mutation, and it's not a disease, and it's completely valid as a sex. So the gender binary consists of male and female. There it is. And I basically see that as being like binary code. Binary code is made up of ones and noughts. I'm not quite sure what binary code does. I know it's to do with computers, but it's made up of ones and noughts. There's no grey area, no 0.5 or whatever. It's just one thing or the other. Another way I like to see it is being like a light switch. That's the traditional type of light switch that just has on and off, and it doesn't include what's in between. It's either one or the other. So if you were assigned male at birth and you identify as male today, you are cisgender. Same as if you were assigned female at birth and you're female to this day, you're still cisgender. If you were assigned male at birth and you transitioned to be female, or vice versa, you are transgender. And if you were assigned male at birth and you transitioned to be something else, you are non-binary. However, you are still considered trans if you are non-binary because you have transitioned from what they assigned you at birth. Non-binary people, unfortunately, are at risk of discrimination, and this doesn't just come from cis people. Unfortunately, binary trans people can be against non-binary people, and it's very unfortunate, but that is something that happens, and it should be acknowledged that transphobia within the trans community does exist. Being non-binary is essentially the grey area between male or female, or an identity that isn't either, or is a bit of both. It's essentially the 1.5, if we're using the binary code example. It's essentially the idea of there being a dimmer switch if we're using the light switch option, because we don't just have on and off, we have other things if you use a dimmer switch that are in between being completely on or off. And just like those examples, we have other genders which are just as valid as the binary ones. Going back to biological sex, I've already said that it isn't as rigid and as all-defining as some people make out. Biological sex is something that you are assigned at birth or before birth, and it is considered to be defined by your genitals, your chromosomes, and your hormones. But these things in themselves can be very fluid, and as I said, they're not as rigid as a lot of people think. People can have ambiguous genitalia, which is where intersex people come into it. And although chromosomes are brought into the discussion all the time, no one has ever had their sex assigned because of chromosomes, and most people in their lifetime don't see their chromosomes or have their chromosomes looked at by anyone. And hormones can also differ greatly from person to person, with some women with large amounts of testosterone or some men with larger amounts of estrogen. So hormones really don't dictate very much either. All of this goes to show that biological sex, just like gender, can be pretty fluid. In summary, there can be lots of factors that go along with someone's gender identity. How they express their gender, what pronouns they use, any surgical procedures they choose to have, including if they take any hormones or if they choose to have nothing done at all. As I said, their gender is their identity, or at least a part of their identity. It's not a choice and it's not something to be debated, it's who they are. There will be choices that they can make regarding their identity, like I said, how they express it, how they dress, etc., and any procedures that they have because of that. And there will be things that they have no choice over regarding their gender identity, for example, any privileges that they have because of it, or any disadvantages that they have because of it, and I'm running out of space. And finally, please bear in mind that however people identify is their true gender, and their gender and pronouns should always be respected. However you identify, I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!